Alright, going to do some book reviews today. Of course, these are based on my opinion, so take it at that accord. But I wanted to, well, I've been planning, I know, on reviewing Dr. Cranky's book for a long time, and I've promised to do so, and other things have gotten in the way of doing that. And to be honest, I really wanted to soak the book in and really get a good, I've read through the book more than once. And I've got to say, it's a great read. It really is. But let me start out with, I'm going to start out with a different book, actually, off the bat. And it's a book that was a very big influence on Dr. Cranky. In fact, I believe he calls it the Bible, and I can understand why after receiving and reading this book. If there was a book on building scale model cars that you would call a Bible, this would be it. One of the reasons is that this book contains Pat Covert's 3 previous books, plus about another 30% of new additional additions, information in the book. And a lot of it has just to do with the way that the book is laid out and the way he covers topics. And it's not so much as a lot of the books out there where you follow them building a specific model. Okay, here we're going to build a 67 GTO, and then here's the aftermarket parts you need, and this and that. I find that not really all that information is helpful, as for a beginning and intermediate type modeler. Okay, if I'm building a 67 GTO, hey, I've got a guideline to go by to make it really nice, but it's not a book that's really teaching me about building all types of models, and this book does. This book actually just covers all the topics, and they do show specific builds in here, but more as examples of how to paint or how to buff or how to use aftermarket parts and things like that. And that's the big difference. That's what makes this book really the great book that it is. Now, I know a lot of you are probably saying right now, hey, I've been looking for this book. This has been out of print. They want $100 and something bucks on Amazon. It's hard to find. Guess what, guys? This book has quietly been re-released. It's out there now. You can get it at its cost, at its book price. I'll post a link below. If you want this book, there's your chance. Without being scalped and raped over it. It's out there, brand new. And I'll post a link below. There's a few select places that are carrying this book. I assume it's probably in a limited quantity that they've put this back out. But I just happened to stumble upon it, and I'll put a link below where you can definitely get it. And if they run out, I did find another place that does carry it. So it's not too many places that have this book, and it's back out and brand new, and at the book price. So I'm not going to go too much in depth on the book, other than, like I said, I mean, it's very well laid out, very good graphics, very in-depth. Pretty much covers every aspect of building a model. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. Like I said, it contains his 3 previous books. And then you start getting into weathering, near the end of the book, and I mean just some fantastic weathering work. And I'm sure this must have had some influence on Dr. Cranky, because I know he's a big fan of Pat Covert, and I know that he's probably could have been an inspiration for him to go the path he took for quite some time. Of course, the big difference is that Dr. Cranky, Virgil, he takes it way more in depth. I mean, this kind of gives you some ideas of how to do certain things as far as the weathering type work goes. It gets you going on it, but where this leaves off, this book picks up. And let me tell you, when it comes to weathering and that type of work, there is no other book. I mean, this is the automotive weathering type style Bible. There is no other, obviously. That's this in depth when it comes to dealing with vehicles. But you know what? I've got to say something here. This book is not just about weathering. I mean, I would say probably the first third of this book is about building models and how Virgil builds models. and a lot of good tips and techniques. I was really surprised when I started reading this book how in depth it went into actually building models, building chassis, engines, techniques I've never heard of before. And this is not just a book on how to make a rat rod. There is a considerable amount of, a beginner could buy this book and gain information and techniques that would set them well on their way to building nice models. That's what's impressive about this book. I got to say, it was a lot more than I ever expected when I got this book. I expected it to be kind of, concentrating mostly on weathering and things like that. Maybe a little bit of building advice, obviously, as any book will start out with. You need to, how to glue and this and that. But this book actually goes quite in depth on building models. And then slowly, gradually takes you into the weathering. And the doc takes you through, starting out like a lot of us do with brush paints, spray cans, and all that type of stuff. In fact, there's quite a bit just on that before we even get into the airbrush, and then he slowly takes you through certain techniques and then some more in-depth techniques. There's a ton of profiles on different models, some of the different techniques he used on different models. There's profiles on several awesome builders in here with a little bit of information from them as well. So it's just not Dr. Cranky in here telling you, giving you his secrets and whatnot. There's several modelers in here in the last good part of the book that are also conveying their little tips and tricks and how they go about things, and a little info here and there. So I gotta say, I know I'm a cranky head, I'm a fan of Doc, but I'm reviewing this with a total unbias. This is a great book. This is a fantastic and a very modern book. If there's only one thing that I could negatively say about this book, and it is so minor, it's silly, but it is something negative I can say, is that most of all the books I have are in this format. With the page size with the binder on the side. This book is kind of the opposite. It's long this way with the binder on this side, and so they don't quite, they stack differently in a bookshelf and whatnot, which is really just a minor thing, but it is something that, I don't know, just a difference that, I don't even know if it's a gripe, but if you had a little bookshelf and you were limited and you might have to, you may have to store it in a way where you can't read it, but the format of this book works great this way, and it's well worth it. It makes up for that. It's just the way the book is designed, and it is by far the most advanced graphics and design and pleasure to read on the eyes, and just you open the pages and they just spread out, and there's this beautiful photos and loads of information on every page. So I couldn't recommend these two books right here. I would highly recommend to anyone, especially beginning modelers, intermediate modelers, people that are wanting to go, take it to the next level. Between this book and this book, there's a lot of information that's going to be covered that's going to take you a long way. I can highly recommend these, and I'm not biased. I've read a bunch of other books. I've looked at them. I've checked them out at the library. I've found some at bookstores. I've actually picked a few up. I'm not even going to show them because there's really not that much more covered in too many other books that I've found. Unless you want to learn to build. Some of them are basically take you through building 4 or 5 models, and that's the whole book. It's almost like a series of articles, how I built this Mustang GT, and then here's all the aftermarket parts I ordered, and, blah, blah, blah. Here's a few little mods I did, and a few tips and things like that. Those books really, I found they're just not as helpful when it comes to overall wanting to sit down and read about techniques and how to really build models and how to apply them to all different types of models. One other book I'll throw in here is the FAQ. This is a big series. It's a huge book, and this is on building car models, but the thing about this book is it's all European. There's no American cars if you're into that style. If you're into building European style cars, racers, motorcycles, there is some fantastic. I mean, this book is in depth as you could go. It is a serious book, and it is a really good book, and it is chock full of tips. But the only downside, at least for my personal use, is that it deals mainly with European cars, race cars, circuit cars, rally cars, racing motorcycles, you know, with racing seats, extravagant engines, and there's a lot that if you're a typical classic car, American car type builder, there's going to be a lot of information in here that really doesn't pertain to what the style of building that type of model. But on the other hand, there is tons of great information in this book, and I do recommend this book. But I would not in any way pick this book up if you're a typical muscle car, standard, typical American, you know, with a few foreign cars or whatever, builder. I would recommend the other books first. Absolutely. And maybe this one third, because it really takes you into a whole nother world. And I mean, I'm not going to deny, I mean, there's some awesome models, and just the quality of this book is fantastic. And they really do get in depth on several details, and, you know, as far as decaling, painting, building, filling, and a lot of those things. And it's a good book. It is a good book. You know, it's not just how to build a, you know, 62 something. You know, it's very in depth. Goes over pretty much everything. Very in depth on airbrushing. Just about everything you think of. It's a good book, but definitely, unless you are a European car style modeler, which I'm sure all the Europeans, this is the book to get right here, because I know how you guys are with your BMWs and Porsches and rally cars and all that. But as far as an American book, from my viewpoint, or building typical classic American, you know, metal, this wouldn't be the top book that I would get. But I do highly recommend. I think it's a great book. But for people like me that typically are channel viewers and people that I hang out with and all, this is a great book. This book takes off where this one left off, I would say, pretty much. Kind of goes back to a lot of this, so you can see some influence between the two to some degree, but they are both just chock full. There's not a lot of overlap between them at all. You know, where this just touches on at the end of getting into rusting and weathering, this book just takes it and just goes to the moon with it. But on its own, I've got to stress this, on its own, this book right here has tons of information on setting up a work area, getting the right tools, what tools are essential, glues, building chassis, engines, dealing with bodies, you know, sanding, painting, buffing. I mean, this book covers, very surprisingly to me before I got it, it covers quite a bit on building models. I mean, how to get that foundation before you even think about going as far as weathering and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, great books. These are the two. These are the two. And I would recommend, if you ever wanted a copy of this, or you ever want what's I consider the Bible myself now as well, get a copy of that. Virgil's book's pretty plentiful out there. You know, it's not like a mad rush. There's 2 copies left. This one here, I don't know how many copies they put out, but not very many. And so if you do want this book, snag it. Unless you want to pay 70, 80, 100 bucks on eBay for a used copy. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. As usual, my videos are off the cuff. I don't script anything, so you know, they kind of drag on a little bit and are redundant here and there. But hope you enjoyed it anyway. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, and happy holidays to everyone. It's getting really close. I hope everybody's got the Christmas shopping done. And hint, hint, if you haven't, talk to you later. Bye.